Hey, how you doing? It's your boy Stephen Lee. Today I have Sal Greco, Mr. Con Sofrito. I love when you say that, bro. I love when you say that. So Sal Greco here is also ex NYPD, was wrongfully terminated for quote unquote criminal association just for knowing somebody. Um, they claimed that he was doing off duty bodyguard work. Is that what it was?
Yeah, they said you were uncompensated security. They made a term just for me.
That's crazy. Uncompensated security means that you're not working for the guy. Right? It's just because you're not getting paid for it. That's just dumb. That's just dumb.
That's
That's just dumb. But Sal here be having all the latest news on the NYPD and stuff before he even hits the media. Sometimes make some great predictions. Could see the outcome and foresee like things that are upcoming and stuff like that. And he's been very, very accurate on some stuff. Sal, man, like how you been? I'm sorry that you got fired. Hopefully you'll get your pension and get restored. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about some stuff though, man. So
well. I'll say this: it's an honor to be here. I think I should have been on here sooner, but you have been on my show, right? And
yes,
this is reciprocal. I'm definitely coming on your show. I said I would come on, so here I am. And your story, although it's your story, whereas others like to say things about you where I don't believe him. Your story sounds very similar to things that I have come across with this police department. And I remember in my time, and I'll say this, when I was still working, there were some that had some things to say about you, the Joe Cop crowd, right? But in the end, Joe Cop never looks at things. They always look at it because they're gatekeepers. Nobody wants the dirty
yeah,
laundry aired. They don't want things exposed because that's like in wrestling they call that airing out, exposing the business. But if you don't do this, if we don't expose what's going on and airing out dirty laundry, so to speak, it's never going to change the culture because if people would have backed you up in your day, you wouldn't, what happened to you would have never happened. Because what is it that
yeah,
you weren't
and
telling the truth? You were telling the truth, but they said you weren't. And they turned this whole thing on you, right? And they had no
yeah.
problem doing what they did to you. And then they act like, oh, well, he's an undesirable. And that's what the NYPD looks at you as. And that's how they discard people.
Yeah, so what happened is, most of the disgruntled people are people that I got in trouble or I was investigating, right? And,
Yeah, figures.
a lot of the cops that are disgruntled and I investigated have connections. They know people, right? And that's why they're able to spread this stigma of me, you know, quicker than other people. And with good reason, right? Because like they know more people because you need to know more people in order to do the stuff that you're doing. As you can see, like with Adams' administration and stuff like that, like the Commissioner Caban, he knew the detective I arrested. After he was arrested and fired, another sergeant from the 109 that got newly transferred to the 109 precinct, right? After that arrest, he was also investigated for extorting somebody for $10,000, saying that if you don't pay up, we're gonna arrest you, right? He took Caban to the detective's restaurant to eat and drink for free. You know what I'm saying? And he drank and toasted with the guy and, had drinks with him and stuff like that. So,
People
it it
don't,
it
they don't know. But this is the problem. If this stuff isn't aired out, stuff that people are like, oh, you're like TMZ, you're doing this. No, 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 no. This was stuff that the NYPD and
Yeah,
DCPI, and especially under the soccer mom, the illustrious police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, the soccer mom. That's her real name to everyone out there, folks. Because of that, they've been catching and killing stories for
yeah,
decades. These are things that you never heard of that happened because they were killing the stories. So when somebody takes a slapjack and beats someone who's in handcuffs and thinks that's funny and's been doing it for decades and then retired, and all of a sudden we're saying You can't hit someone in handcuffs, but they did it. They don't want you talking about it because they don't want
Yeah.
anyone to talk about what they did because what
Yeah.
they did is a crime. So, you're
Right.
not supposed to take people and put them in handcuffs and beat them with a slapjack or
Yeah.
your nightstick. So when you
Yeah.
see it today, to them, oh, this is what we do. We do extrajudicial punishment, right? No, that was never a law. You were always violating court case law. Now, being the day and age of social media, where DCPI cannot catch and kill stories anymore, they could stop the legacy media. They can't stop a guy like me. They can't stop a guy like Steve. So when things go out in social media, it's oh no. And there's panic. There's people with cameras. It's 2026, not 1976. When you
Yeah.
could billy club someone, or what would they call those? When you wood shampoo and all that stuff. Those are great terms back in that time. You can't do that anymore. And it's not every cop that did it. So I think the Joe Cop hairbag crowd, they're more were concerned is that you're pulling the curtain off everything. And it's not the actions they're upset about, it's that you're pulling the curtain. Because they need to
Right.
look in the mirror because they know what they did. And they're just
Right.
thinking, oh my God, my friend did this yesterday or that one, they're going to come for us. But instead, you got to look in the mirror, you didn't follow the rules. Now, you might have got to
Right.
get away with one, right? Or maybe the statute of limitations is over, but it was never okay. It was never a law.
Right.
And you shouldn't want that because in the end, that could be your wife, your husband, your kids, your family, your friends that they're doing what we just witnessed in the liquor store, what you just
Right.
saw in the Bronx, all this kind of extrajudicial punishment. And the cops and Joe Cop and a hairbag crowd that is saying that this is okay. And then the ad hominem attacks, you're the reason the profession is in the toilet. While there's morale's in the toilet, you are like 80% of it. And then there's management because you
Yeah.
guys are the gatekeepers. And this is very important to keep. Then remember, because if you're not willing to have an honest discussion and bring everything to the forefront so that you could bridge the gap between a community and the police, it's only going to get worse. It's just going to
Yeah.
continue. It's going to get
Absolutely.
worse. This is going to get worse.
And
It's going to be
and
worse for both sides.
the sad part is that they make the good cops look bad.
Yep.
They're giving the NYPD the bad name. The cops in Brooklyn that beat the guy in the liquor store, the incident in the
And what
Bronx,
happened? Steve, now what
like
happened? Narco's in trouble, right? Oh,
yeah.
they moved everyone around. Now, if you're a narco and you've been working to get your shield, to get your grade, whatever it is, you're doing this right now because you don't know if they're gonna say, we're getting rid of everything only because of the actions of a few. And this
Right.
is the
Exactly.
problem. And this is why cops should be paying attention and saying, cut it out. You know what? I may
Yeah.
or may not like Sal Greco personally. I may not like his platform, but you know what? He's got a damn point because this is going to come back to me, right? And this stuff stops because it's not 1970, 80, 90, 2000, 2010. Those
Right.
days are over.
Yeah,
That
there's
is the
cameras
past.
everywhere now. Cameras everywhere.
There's
And you know what I'm
everywhere
saying?
you
Like,
look. And I tell you another thing, Steven. The incident in the Bronx, those guys have body cameras, but you're going to have to explain
why
whacking a
your body
guy in the
turns
head
wrong.
repeatedly when he's already being handcuffed by 3 other cops and tased on
Right.
top of it. And then you
Yeah.
issue C summonses to 2 of them, and 2 of these guys you've given DATs putting resisting arrest. Listen, resisting arrest is a lot of, I don't know if you noticed, Stephen, there's now newly minted resisting arrest experts out there. It's a whole new thing. Resisting arrest expert. When there's penal law 20530, and then there's another code 3527. Resisting arrest says you can't arrest and blah, 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 but it says when it's authorized. An authorized arrest must be something that is lawful, meaning you arrest someone, probable cause, I have a warrant, I witnessed something. So someone just drinking alcohol and telling you, I'm not giving you my ID. The Supreme Court said no one has to have their ID on you. So
Mm.
if he doesn't have his ID on you, what do? You could issue that summons and roll the dice, or you let it go. But they decided to press that issue, and then what do? I'm going to arrest you for this. I'm going to arrest you for resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, that BS that always gets thrown out. And
Yeah.
now
That never
everyone,
sticks. It never sticks.
never
There's
sticks, and that's what happened.
OTA, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and
You
the three trios that never sticks.
It never sticks. Then they have to do a TRI report because they tased him. But while they tased him and while he's under control and he's not flailing his arms, he didn't punch anyone. One of these officers decided to go into Rambo mode. He must have watched the movie, or maybe they watch MMA, or maybe they really believe WWE is real. And all of a sudden, they start doing things that you never were trained in. No one trains you to offensively strike someone repeatedly who's either handcuffed or about to be handcuffed. Those are
Right.
defensive moves if you are being struck up. This is in your curriculum. And for these Joe cops who lived in the 70s or whatever, you need to read what's going on. By the way, there's a diaphragm law. They also trained everyone how to get around that and make arrest with the diaphragm law. And they expect you to oblige. And then there's another thing that's called ABLE. There was ABLE training, meaning you're there as a cop, and if back in 2021, they train you that if you see something, right, that a cop is going overboard, he's wailing on a guy, you're supposed to stop him. Everyone does a 2-day course. It's probably going to become a 2-week course at this point. That's what they're going to fry you on when you're in a courtroom or in a department trial. Joe Cop, who's been retired since 1990, he's not going to save you. They're living in the fantasy world of, we could do this. It's a resisting arrest. No, because how many times now people getting sued? Now there's a cop in Trenton, by the way, that today they announced he got indicted doing the same kind of stuff. Resisting arrest, it's BS. It doesn't exist. Resisting
You know what
arrest
it is?
is not a main charge.
This is the incident you're talking about, right? So
Yes, this is the incident in the
the thing
Bronx.
is, you know,
Let's see that.
I will admit that I have struck people to try to get their hands behind their back,
Oh,
but
but look at
only
this.
because only
But he's
because
got
they
to.
were like physically resisting. This guy is passively resisting,
But
right?
Steve, he's got a
He
backpack, and he's got 3
yeah,
guys handcuffing him, and he
exactly.
got
So
tased,
I
and
don't
he got.
think I don't do I think that the strikes were necessary here? No, absolutely not. But
You would be investigating this case if you were in internal affairs. Is this
oh,
not
absolutely.
excessive force? And the sergeant who tased him, who's standing there, doesn't stop him or say anything. The sergeant should be suspended. If they're gonna go this route, the sergeant is to blame, just like the other case and the supervisors. You're standing there tasing a guy, and he's teeing off on him. You don't say anything. You don't do anything. And then you decide to do a desk appearance ticket for resisting arrest, OGA, disorderly conduct, and an open container. Steve, that is a recipe for unlawful arrest. You're all going to have to pay for this, and it's unlawful.
so
You
that's
don't have
that's
the
the
right
thing,
to
right?
do this.
That's the thing though. The taxpayers pay for it. So
Yeah.
that's why they don't care. So there's no repercussions for it, right? I think solution wise, this has been an idea that was thrown out by Edward Snowden, right? And it's make instead of the city and taxpayers paying for it, you make the penalties come out from the police pension fund, right?
That would
Where the
drain
police
you.
pension where the police pension fund would pay for it. That would solve 2 problems, right? 1, the $1 billion budget that the NYPD gets for lawsuits alone, you free that up. 2, you have cops checking other cops because now it's affecting their pockets. Because you know how it is, like on the job, there's a lot of cops that keep their head down. They don't want to say anything because they don't want no problems and stuff, right? It's like, oh, you know what? It doesn't involve me. I just stay away from this guy and that's that, whatever. Let them do their thing, whatever. But once this comes into effect, now it's affecting everyone's pocket. So now it's like, yo, chill. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to lose any more money in my pension. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would solve a problem. It'll be a big Megillah and a big hit on good cops. But I think it would be necessary change where, you know what I'm saying, it will encourage other cops to actually start doing something,
I mean,
you know?
I don't understand how
Big
you.
scary change.
Yeah, you can't. But in this day and age, you walk up to 4 people that are drinking open container.
Mhm.
and then 2 of them give you IDs, the other ones don't, and this turns into now you're resisting arrest, I have to put you in handcuffs, I'm gonna tase people. That's what the NYPD, this is what they said. I can show you that this is what they said. This is what they released to journalists and the legacy media. They're just probably wondering how I know. That's the story of how this happened. And that, my friends, fits the role of a unlawful arrest. You don't stop someone for alcohol and end up pounding on the guy later on. To me, that is the sergeant should be absolutely like transferred, suspended immediately. You need to go to retrain how to be a supervisor. You tase the guy. You can hear him. The sergeant tases the guy, and then he lets him tee off on him as well. Which one? What are you doing? Like what are you supposed to do? No, a lot of these cops, Steven, number one, a lot of them are not in shape. That's why you see all this crazy stuff. Number two, they don't like. I don't know who trained them or how they get trained, but you don't do this kind of stuff. These guys have this guy right here. They're trying to. Now he's finally. Look, he's still hitting him in the face. He's
Yeah,
got
I
a
mean,
backpack. How is he supposed to get? He's got a backpack, and you have him pinned down, and then this other guy's on top of him, striking him in the face repeatedly.
you think that they would show a little more restraint after what happened in Brooklyn, because this is after, Brooklyn, I believe, right? And also with the news that's coming out with Manhattan North Narcotics with the KK hoodies and stuff like that, and the pictures of the gorilla with holding a firearm and stuff, like, the whole racism against the Dominican, police officer, it's like, it's crazy that you want to still do this kinda action when you have all that bad publicity already out there. It's like, you should show some restraint. You know what I'm saying? I see the alcohol and stuff. Did he have reasons to stop them? Yeah, sure. Did he have reason? I guess I don't know. Can he still arrest with somebody with a summons in lieu of arrest or something like that? The summons in lieu of arrest, right?
No,
So
well,
it's
le-
it's it's a bullshit thing. You take them back to
yeah,
the pre-screen and then you verify them and then you give them a summons.
but
But
you have to do avoided arrest. You can't just write a
right,
C summons. So they're not
exactly.
following it either. They're not doing that.
So, you know, with what happened here, like, it could have gone very differently, right? You could have got their name, whatever, or have somebody, oh, you got somebody bring your ID over, you don't have your ID on you, whatever. You definitely got to talk to the guys. And
But do you see this?
I don't,
He's got his hand behind his back and he's striking him in the head and he's
yeah.
not even moving.
And you had three officers pulling his arms in different directions.
Yeah, and the guy, I mean,
You know what
you
I'm
got to
saying?
understand that you're trying to, even trying to get him handcuffed. They're trying to control this guy. Every time you hit him, you rock him back and this is extrajudicial punishment. I know some people are
Right.
getting cute out there, the resisting arrest experts. That is extrajudicial punishment. They
Yeah.
don't want this out there anymore. They're very clear. All these court cases, Curry, Syracuse, Stevenson is another case. They use all these DeBoer. That's another case. They don't want this kind of stuff. And I know.
Especially he's not fighting. He's just passively resisting, it looks like, right? Or
What do you know
it
what you
might
want
be
him to
it might
do?
be cops pulling him in different directions and giving him giving different directions too. Because you know how it is. Like when we're on the scene, there's like five cops screaming different directions. Like, hey, put your hands on your left, put your hands on your head. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
He fell. You
confuses a
see,
person. You know?
he looks contorted, like the way he's even on the ground. And
Yeah,
this
because they're
guy
pulling them
just
in different
jeopardized.
directions.
All these cops can now get called in and question over this. And the biggest question will be, why did not one of you try to stop this guy from hitting him repeatedly? Yeah, you
Right.
hit him once, that's already going to be. Then again, right there, two. Look at this. What are you doing? Now you get three. And there's one more on the ground. I mean, I don't know what this guy's thinking. He does it again on the ground. Here he goes,
Yeah.
another one. He's got 4 or 5 strikes to this guy's head for an open container that he just didn't have ID, so you decided to do this craziness. That's what this is. The public is what matters, right? The public, not the Joe cops. because they'll be the first one to turn on you if they haven't already, or they're talking a lot of garbage at the bar right now against you. You think they're your friends. So the public and the courts are going to rule on this, and they're going to, I'm going to use the word savage you, because the community, how they see this, there's two recent rulings that nobody liked, right? There's the Durant case and the Diller case. And in both cases, you got a little bit of something if you were in in the NYPD. You wanted that person to be convicted. He should have been convicted of murder, but he wasn't. You wanted Duran not to go to jail, but he's going to go to jail, and he could appeal that or whatever.
You think so?
Ultimately,
I don't
just
know. I think what's gonna happen is that they're gonna like let it die out in the media, and then some federal judge would probably let him go.
I'm just saying the community,
You know?
the jurors, see, when you keep beating on these people, and they, like this woman that took the video from the Brooklyn North Narcotics, what did she say in her video? I'm appalled by what I see in the comments. It's a bunch of cops. Even she figured it out. And you're calling that guy a savage and all these things, and they had the wrong guy. When they get a jury and they get a chance to come after a cop or to really just go after them and destroy and flip the case around, they will. And the jurors have done this in the past. O.J. Simpson. They have a way of getting even with all of you. So if you
Yeah,
think this is a
absolutely.
joke, this is another case. But you think this is a joke, you shouldn't, because the community has a way of getting even with things. So when you
Absolutely.
upset about your court rulings not going your way, and think about that guy who's wailing on a guy for open a
Exactly.
container. That's
Exactly.
why they
Because
say,
your jury is gonna be like, cops beat people for no reason.
yeah, and they don't.
You know,
But you're gonna have a
cops are
couple of bad
racist, you
apples,
know? Yeah, cops are racist. They're wearing KKK hoodies. They're sending these text messages around on pictures of like people holding gorillas and stuff like that, like AI generated pictures and stuff. You know, they're beating
You
people
see
in liquor
this
stores. They're doing all this type of stuff. It's crazy.
that video you just showed. Now I know they try to punch that. I don't know what they were doing with that guy. I don't know if he did something. The other guy walking around with a Clorox bottle in his hands, right in the MOS's face. That is one of the scariest things. Bleach in your blood at any point, that can definitely do
Yeah,
damage. It could kill you. A
yeah,
guy with a bottle of bleach just waving it around in your face, and nobody flinched. Not one of those three guys said, grab that guy and just throw his bottle and him, just get him out of your face while you're trying to handcuff a guy. Here he comes with a bottle of Clorox in your face. So that is just the tactics there were just, I don't know. I saw he punched him a couple of times. I don't know what's going on there. This one happened today with Che Osei, look, you're going to see it as two different videos, but you're looking at this. Look, he's trying to say you got to come with us because he ran over to interfere with that other arrest that was going on. You're not seeing on this camera, it's on another view. And as he's on the ground, he says his head hurts. His buddy kicks him because they're both on the ground, right? They handcuffed this guy, and I believe in the other video you could tell the sergeant tried to put him from left to right. But he was standing, you can't see it. There's a gate. And then on the other video, you see that it looks like he either catches or trips over the sergeant as he's grabbing him. He grabs him on the ground and he handcuffed. They didn't do anything wrong, by the way. There was no extrajudicial punishment. There was no, here I come, I'm Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, and I'm going to do all things I was never trained to do. They did
yeah.
everything they're supposed to do. His hands are locked in with this other guy, and the sergeant, all he did was try to push him away from him, like grab him, and he tripped. In my opinion, it looks like he tripped. He says he grabbed me, but this guy could have been a soccer player the way he's acting. But this arrest, from everything I'm seeing, and I said it already, they did a good job. They did a great job handling this. And by the way, I don't know
Well,
if
it's
you
only
know
because
this.
he's a city council member. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? And they
this
know they're
D
gonna get a lot of like
he's
flashback for it.
he's right. He's trying to defend these people, but it's a scam. This whole thing with this woman, so they forged a signature on the deed and they were trying to evict her. She's a
Right.
victim. But you know who showed up to do this? It's Anthony Miranda, that disgrace. I don't know why this guy's not. He's still a sheriff. The guy, I mean, there's all kinds of stories of corruption with him and things he did. And the Fed showed up, and you're still waiting for all that stuff. So his sheriffs came and tried to evict her. And of course, it brings the police department. Remember, the state of New York is a supermajority Democrat state. All of them are
Yeah.
Democrats. They all could just pick up the phone and call each other. There could be a mayoral executive order, could be a governor executive order to stop that.
Well,
But
this
they
is
didn't
what.
do that. They
Let
didn't
me
do
show
that,
you.
Steve.
Let me show you some pictures, and you tell me what state we're in. Okay, we have this that happened.
This was another one. I think they got two of these people, two of the cars.
They got 2 cars, but they arrested, I believe, 18 people. I believe they arrested 18 people. Then you have this,
Oh, this is bad. You think you're in California. It's like Skid Row, California.
right? Looks like Skid Row, right?
Your crazies are out there. I don't know if they're sleeping. Where's the tent? Do they have the tents up yet?
What is going on, bro?
I don't know what these people are doing. Look at this. Are they on drugs? Are they
I don't
selling
know.
drugs out there? Like I
I don't
used
know
to
what it is.
see when I was
I don't
still
know what it is, but it's just. I mean,
New York City 4
it's
years ago, I had that. It was like it was still going on, right? But you're right. And we were looking at this and you were like, where do you think this is? And I'm like, that looks like California. No, it's New York City with the
you got a
schizos
9-year-old
out
shot
there.
in Brooklyn,
Then there's this too.
right?
The 9-year-old was shot. That was, I believe, down the street from where the soccer mom had just done a press conference about 1,000 guns they took off the street. 45 minutes later, that
And
happened.
what happened to this officer that did like an execution style shooting?
I covered the whole thing.
And this
So
is the cop.
this
The
guy
guy with the hoodie
worked.
that's walking up to the car is a cop.
Yeah. So this was over. This is because the guy driving the car, they have not said any word about this. They want this to just be quiet because
Yeah, they wanted to fly out. Yeah.
the guy driving the car is actually the guy that's also involved with his girlfriend. The
Right.
car belonged to his girlfriend. So it's not Grand Theft Auto because
She
I
gave
don't
him
know,
permission.
dude. Your girl is with 2 guys, you and this other dude. But
Right.
the guy he's shooting at, the guy in the back, is not the guy involved with the girlfriend. The one he had a discussion with. It's the guy in the front that's driving. He doesn't even realize that. So basically, he was shooting at the wrong guy. And it's not a Grand Theft Auto.
Basically, he got a car for his girlfriend, and then the girlfriend let her other man drive the car. So
Yep.
I'm thinking he probably he found out, probably wanted the car back, and the guy's like, "Fuck you, it's not your car," right? And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, all right, is that the case? Then it's gonna be a stolen car, right?"
But the problem, Steve, is that the guy works. He was off duty, works at Gracie Mansion. He works in that public security section or whatever. He could have called the precinct and said, I'm following this car, which is what you would do. Instead, here comes Rambo, right? I'm going to do it the way I watch television shows or whatever. That's what it mimics, right? And that's the problem. And this is the problem everybody's having. That's enough. It's incident. And I'm telling you, I've never seen incidents like this repeatedly every week, twice a week. You're seeing
It's a shit
absurdness
show.
from
It's a
the
shit
police
show.
department.
It's a shit
Yep.
show. You know,
And this
like
is a leftover from Eric Adams, right? And this is an
absolutely.
institutional problem. This is Eric Adams' guys are still there. And because the mayor has not fired this police commissioner who's absolutely a soccer mom and doesn't know anything what's going on, and they just do whatever they want underneath her. You kept Petrie, you kept Thompson. These were all people that were there under the last mayor. You got to learn the way Trump learned and all these other people were president. You got rid of everybody. You walk in, you're all fired. Thank you. I have my own people. If you're not willing to do that, this is going to drag on into your administration. He's
Yeah.
5 months in almost. Look at the chaos underneath him. This is another
What about
thing.
this?
This is right up the
Sleeping.
street from where Schlubin was in the 4-6 with that frat house nonsense. They told me they called this Epstein Island in the NYPD. There's a peephole. Look at the stuff they're doing. What kind of sick people are in this department?
And this is not like over years. This is like all within the same like couple of weeks.
It's
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
it's one after the other, after the other, after the other. It's like one thing. It's all like jammed in, but in a short amount of time. I
It's
could tell you,
crazy,
me and
bro.
Steve, we were on the job. We were in the NYPD at the same time. I don't remember hearing of one scandal after the other. People doing this kind of crazy stuff.
No,
You
it was
know,
rare. It was like maybe once every, I don't know, 5 years or something like that, like 6 years. It was never back to back every day, like, you hear
every
something
day.
new,
It's
something new.
and and people. This is a problem. The Joe Coppers again, which I don't care, because in the grand scheme of things, retired and current members of service, whether you're working in any law enforcement profession, you were outnumbered like 8-1 as far as the rest of humanity. You're
Yeah,
nothing in the population. So
right.
be very careful how you choose your words out there, because the civilians are really technically, they're your boss, we'll say, because they could
They are
turn
your
on
boss.
you real quick.
The
So
public is your boss. You work for the public.
you
You're a
work for
public
the
servant.
public.
Yeah,
This kind of
absolutely.
stuff, what I highlight, what I show, when they say, and there's times I could show, and I try to do, like, there's positive stories, like but they still don't promote anyone as well. They're only promoting the Chiefs driver that goes to the hotel with them, and not the guys that are actually doing hard work out there. So these are the things that are a problem if you're going to fix this in layers, because it's so broken that you need layers, and you'll need months and years to try to recuperate the mess that's been compounded for decades now. You have to
Yeah,
highlight what's corrupt. Why? Because you got to get rid of it before you start pounding everybody in the, hey, great job. Hey, you got guys shooting people. You have guys beating up people. You have frat house behavior. You have people underneath the executive, in the executive office, that are overtime, handing out money. This one's taking time. This one's not even signing in. He's a chief, Richie Taylor. What happened to him? He wasn't signing in. He was in other countries while it's saying that he's working. Now, if you do that as a cop, you're finished. You're probably going to go to jail. As Tony Fabrizi, a lieutenant that was only following orders, they crushed him. This guy Graziano, which I was the guy report all this stuff. Graziano, he was in the health and wellness section. Oh, he wasn't even showing up to work, but he was getting paid, right? They were saying he was there. Then he got caught. Oh, you're allowed to leave with 1,000 hours you took. Don't worry about it. We did our own investigation. They didn't do an investigation. They did the investigation to quash it and got caught. So these are things that you need to, and this is what Joe Cop doesn't want. They live in this glass house. Everything's fine. Just leave me alone, and don't make things too big, as you might, ruffle feathers, and they're going to come watch the precinct. But they should, because there's crooked people around you, and probably from
yeah,
the top. So if you're not willing to highlight this, and not willing to, the public is the one, when there's outcry from the public, that's when things begin to change. And of course, lawsuits from
yeah.
within, lawsuits from the outside, people getting indicted, then things start changing. Until this happens, it's just more rhetoric, and nothing ever happens. Joe Kopp will be the first one screaming up and down. He might even say, elect me as your delegate. These are the people that'll just, go along to get along. They
So
rah, 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 and nothing ever happens. Just like Pat
speaking about
Hendrick.
lawsuits, what do you think about I don't know if you heard about this yet. The PBA just put in a lawsuit against CCRB.
It goes
So
nowhere. This goes nowhere. CCRB is run by the mayor. It falls under the mayor. They're never going to get rid of this thing. You don't like this 50A repeal. I like it a lot. You know why? Now you learn that Kaz Dodry and all these other clowns had a ton of discipline, that they kept their job, but you may not have. You might have lost 30 days for some nonsense. Somebody else, they lost 10 days and were promoted 7 times. If you
Yeah.
got rid of this, you would have never have known this stuff. So here's the bottom line. Don't get in trouble. Don't be beating on people in handcuffs, right? Don't be
Yeah. And you
running
got
out
nothing to
there
worry about.
excessive force, extrajudicial punishment, running into liquor stores, beating, then you won't have a problem. If
Right.
you're clean, you have nothing to worry about. The hardest thing to do in life is the right thing, apparently. You're doing the right thing, and there's a ton of officers like that. You go on 50A and there's nothing there. But
Yeah.
I
I
notice
agree.
whenever there's a shady guy, it's like a laundry list of things on there. So, I don't know what to say. It looks like, there's a pattern there, but I
I
think
agree.
this is gonna fail.
If you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about.
Listen, if you had substantiated stuff, too bad. To me, it's like,
Right.
look, I don't have a post certificate, right? So I can't get work. I can't work security in other states. Now, I wasn't supposed to have that taken away from me. If you do over 10 years in any police department and they could release you for anything, but you didn't get arrested, this is not misconduct. It's just some ridiculous nonsense. Criminal association, we don't like you. Then you shouldn't take away someone's post certificate, which is something that's featured in the other lawsuit. So I don't have a post certificate. I'm smeared everywhere as far as trying to get employment. Folks, you Google my name, they still run with these crazy narratives from the past that are all false, but it doesn't matter. They don't care at this point. So this is what follows you. Your substantiated or unsubstantiated stuff. Nobody, look, do you have a post certificate? Did you retire? Yeah, that's what they're going to care about. They don't care how many
Right.
CC or Bs you have. These are some really, these people that are whiny. Look, the law was repealed. It's actually a good thing because now I go on there and people like Kaz Dodry, who you all love to mention all the time, look at his discipline record because anyone can sue and use him as a comparator. And you'll probably beat that case because he got away with everything and you didn't. And there's others on there that have done the same offenses like you are alleged to have done that now use a comparator because nothing happened to them. Without
Yeah.
50A, you would never see this. The department would hide everything. And
Yeah. I
people
got
want
fired before my case
transparency.
even started. I got fired before my case even started. And, there was murderers that was on the job, child molesters. I was locked up when they transferred me to Westchester, right? Towards the end of my sentencing, right? When I was about to, it was maybe like a couple of days before I was about to get out. One of the inmates that was walking around on the block that was locked up with me, right? He was there for being, it was child porn, right? Downloading child porn and stuff. And then he ends up coming up to me and goes, "Yeah, I used to be on the job." He was an SRG, right? And he was locked up for child porn, but he was still on the job. He didn't get fired yet. He was suspended, but he wasn't fired.
Uh, But this is, look,
While
your
he's while
record,
he's locked up with me.
people's records, whether you like it or not. I know I had some ridiculous people. You put somebody's name out there and now the public people go on the database and it's very public what your name is, your shield number, it's all there.
Yeah,
This is why they did this, is because you don't work for a secret society. You work for an agency. It's a
right,
city agency that works for the public. So your First Amendment is limited. Your privacy, although your residence and your phone number, whatever, but everything
right,
else, where you work, your shield number, that's all public.
right.
Anyone
Because
can
you're a
look or
public
dig into,
servant.
they can look into you. Now,
Yeah,
discipline matters because we have many factors. When you get sued, and listen, there's people that might get allegations that are all nonsense. It'll say unsubstantiated, but that's not going to hold up you getting a job because in the end, if you retire, you have a good guy letter in good standing, you could get a job because now
well,
you
I
are
think I
licensed to
think the
carry in all 50
unsubstantiated
states.
stuff I think the unsubstantiated stuff should be cleared after a certain amount of time, because it's unsubstantiated, but
To
the
me,
substantiated things should stay,
but to me, it doesn't matter whether it's there. It doesn't matter if it's
right?
gone or not. your record is what it is. It's going to say one CCRB exonerated, not exonerated, whatever it is, it just says it. So you want to take the ones that say that you were unsubstantiated on, okay, but your record's going to be there regardless. They're never going to take that away anymore. So
Right, right, right.
I'm thinking this is a waste of time and a lot of money being wasted when Pat Hendry has other things to worry about, like the fact that a captain was letting detectives and lieutenants run out there in Brooklyn North Narcotics with no radio and no body camera. And the primary source of contact is your private phone on WhatsApp, which is now evidence in cases. And anyone, if you've been locked up by Brooklyn North Narcotics and you have a pending case or one from the past, contact your lawyer. You now have a case to have everything thrown out because they never gave you their cell phones, which is part of the case. That's all I'm saying.
Withholding
This is
evidence,
the
yeah.
garbage you're dealing with. So Pat Hendry, instead of saying, hey, what's the captain's unit? Why are you doing that? He's worried about CCRB. People
Yeah.
might end up getting jailed because of this. And this is what he's worried about. Something that has a very minuscule chance of going anywhere. You know, today there was a court ruling, not to make it a little off of politics, policing with politics. Laura Loomer, about a year ago, sued Bill Maher because he said at the time that there was a rumor that President Trump was having some kind of relations with Laura Loomer. Because he said this, he defamed me about the. You know what the court did today? Case dismissed. You don't have any right to say anything because there's no action. There's no nothing. A waste of time. She should have to pay for Bill Maher and HBO's attorney fees. How about that one? And this is what people need to start learning. So before you jump the gun, that's the problem is you don't know the court system. You don't study anything. You don't study judges. You don't study case law. And then you're left holding a bag and crying when things don't go your way. But if you know these things, you would know that, like what you're seeing, none of this is going to ever fly. You think any of this is going to fly? I'm not even trying to condemn these guys. I'm like, where did they learn or get taught these tactics? You're dragging him to the door. It's like, what am I seeing? Like, what are you doing?
And it was mistaken identity. They didn't even verify that it was this guy.
Steve, I don't know if you've worked these sets in narcotics or whatever, right? They have a ghost ID, these people, okay? Here's your problem in a nutshell. For Joe Cop that keeps coming after me, you're never going to get around what I'm about to say, and they're going to use this in courtroom. The ghost ID'd the buyers and the associate, right?
Right.
The buyer was already in custody. The associate, look at this guy. They're saying that they're looking for a guy in teal shorts and a white shirt. That was the initial thing the NYPD said. But they arrested another guy falsely in a store very close by with a tracksuit on. So you'll have to explain in court why your ghost, whoever the hell he is, ID'd 3 separate people for one offense. Because you unlawfully arrest. That's why there's no resisting arrest. This is all unlawful. You're not authorized to do this stuff. So where did you get a guy to say, that's him? Or is it, I'm a cop, I'll do what I want. I think it's him. Because I think it's him is not, I know it's him. And the ID guy, the ghost that's IDing this has to say, that's him. But how did he say that's him times 3?
Right.
That's going to be a problem. You have 2 different guys being arrested wearing different things. This other guy was wearing a tracksuit, long pants. I thought the guy with the associate had shorts.
Yeah.
Horrible. And the comments were ridiculous. Oh, you're a savage, or this, you're that. And that's why people hate police. They see you, they know you, even with your dumb name, with your Punisher logo, and your stupid comments, they know who you are. You just made it worse for everyone who's working out there right now.
Yeah. And they left this guy's shoe in the store. Now he just goes, he's going to the precinct with one fucking shoe on.
But Steve, they locked
and
up.
And he just avoided the rest. They let him go.
But Steve, the guys in the prisoner van already had the actual correct perp.
Yeah,
They
that's
already had
crazy.
locked up another guy
That's
falsely
crazy.
who was in the precinct and watched them bring in the other two people. And the other guy they locked up, they didn't even do avoided arrest. I'm hearing this too, Steve. This is the first time. I'm hearing there was no TRI, no aideds, nothing. They didn't do anything. This is a supervisor allowing this kind of stuff, which is why he should any supervisor here should get destroyed. Forget about the cop. The cop's they're gonna go down for their actions. The supervisor, how did you allow all of this? You're going out with WhatsApp and then no body cameras?
That's because the supervisor is probably not even monitoring them. He's probably out there doing his own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Where is
And
the
it's like,
team
call me
leader?
if
You're
you
right.
need me. You know,
Where's the
call me
team
if you
leader?
need me.
But
Yeah.
these problems that you see that arise, and listen, nobody's rah-rahing this. Nobody's cheering on that they're going after cops or whatever. But this has to stop. And this
Yeah,
is a moment
absolutely.
everyone reflects, looks in the mirror, and says, this is the man in the mirror. Like Michael Jackson had a nice song about that. And you got to look at the man in the mirror to affect change. How are you going? You have to change this for the better. But how do you do it? If everybody, you still have you still have the Joe Cop crowd screaming for blood, screaming, "Oh, you're wrong," all this nonsense. That's wrong. And anyone rationally think that dragging a guy, you have the wrong guy, you have the bad IDs, any of this right. Because all I'm stating are legal facts. You could try to justify them, which is like, oh, well, I know this guy. I'll give you an example. Like, I know this guy killed him, but it was in self-defense. Really? But that doesn't exist in New York City. Oh, but, he said F you and he shot him, so that's okay. But no, it's not okay. But this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to justify. You sound stupid. You might be good in the bar, in the locker room. In a courtroom where it's serious, you're going to get destroyed. And you start sounding like that, you're going to jail. Put it like that. You're done. You're getting indicted, you're getting charged, and you're going to jail. They're going to put you in
Yeah.
jail for your stupidity, okay?
Yeah.
You need to do things in a reasonable manner. My show, I like to look at things from all angles with a totality of circumstances. And I knew and I had the most of the story before I even went, like, I put up the video and then other stuff came out right after that. Oh, the prison van already had the guy.
Yeah,
So
that's
you just
crazy. I
beat a
didn't know
guy.
that.
Well, you're beating a guy. You know why? They didn't even know what's going on because they're communicating on a damn chat room, which then I hear on Fox News the other day or yesterday or today. Well, that's a secondary tool, not a first tool. No, it's not a tool, period. I hope cops are watching. Get off of WhatsApp and do not discuss anything that you do on the NYPD with it. By the way, they will subpoena that and they will get the record because Meta keeps your data. Everything's there on
Yeah.
WhatsApp if you're
Yeah. Even after you
NYPD.
delete it.
So
Yeah.
if I'm a defense attorney of anyone that was ever incarcerated by this group of people, I will now demand that I go back. I was falsely in prison. You did not give all the discovery, which would included your communications.
Yeah.
Because trying to be discreet is not the NYPD way. They don't want you to do that. That's why they give you the radio. You don't communicate on your personal phone. And then, oh, we can't hand over the phone because it's, we didn't
Well, you
talk
know
on
what
it.
it
And
is?
you did. You did.
They, they think that they're smarter, right?
Yep.
Where it's like, okay, if I go over the radio, it's going to be recorded by Central, right? And they're going to be saying things. But then if they're on WhatsApp, oh, we could delete it. But stupid, Meta keeps your data
Yep.
for over a year.
Yep.
You know? And it's like if they want a subpoena, they just go into that server and they look it up and it's like, ah, we still have it here. What do you want to see? And it's still there. Just
It's
because
still
you
there.
delete it and it says delete it for everyone doesn't mean that it's deleted. It's still there on the servers.
And this is why these people, how can I say this? Best way to describe some of these people is Bam Bam, like Joe Cop is Bam Bam and Fred Flintstone, because that's the intellect that you carry. You're not that
Yeah.
smart, you know?
Yeah.
And you yell at me, Monday morning quarterback, I'm running circles around you. I already see every hole. If I'm up there as a prosecutor, you're going to jail, number one. I would definitely get you convicted. And if I'm in the trial room, you're going to get fired before you get there. And not because it's rigged, because everything you did is so ridiculously dumb and goes against everything the police department trains you to do and their
Yeah.
protocols and procedures. It doesn't matter which clown wants to jump on X or whatever and start arguing, blah, 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 blah. It's right. No, it's not right. Because I'm telling you, this is what happens. This is how a courtroom, the only thing that matters is how they're going to look at you as the public as a whole, and a jury and a judge. I
Now let
remember
me
hearing it all the time when I was
now
working, but
check
people
this
forgot
out.
about that.
Let's say things gone left, right? Like more left. I mean, things gone bad in a liquor store, right? I'm talking about the Brooklyn liquor store.
Yeah.
So let's say this guy had a health condition and he died. Now they're going to court because you're gonna be just like Sergeant Duran. You're gonna be there charged with murder and manslaughter and all that stuff. Yeah, you'll probably beat the murder charges, but you'll get convicted of manslaughter, right? And then what? You're gonna be crying. Oh, he was doing his job. He was doing the right thing. No, he wasn't.
I looked at the Durant thing too, and when he throws the cooler, he doesn't throw it as the guys come in. He doesn't throw it like in advance to try to slow him down. He threw it when he passes him by. He told the jury that he felt threatened he was coming at him. And I believe if you watch this video, him and his team are in the street, and that guy's on a sidewalk, and he threw it. So
That
doing
defense
that,
is no
you
good.
perjured
Yeah,
yourself. You're lucky
right.
you're not perjuring yourself, which is why I'm saying that conviction is never getting overturned. 3 to 9 years, that could be excessive. He didn't wake up that morning and say, I'm going to murder someone, manslaughter, whatever. But 3 to 9 years, that you might get overturned. You
Yeah, and
might.
and you know what? That incident is kind of special to me, right? Because when I was in Rikers, that my news article came out the same time as Duran, and it was crazy because my news article was on top, and it said, "Oh, cop arrested for an ex whistleblower arrested for bar fight or whatever stuff like that, locked up in Rikers, whatever stuff, right?"
Mhm.
Then on the bottom, you see Sergeant Duran stuff saying that this thing happened, whatever. He was fired and stuff. But then guess what happened? Did you know that after he was fired, the SBA gave him a job? He was working for the SBA as a liaison. And I was like, "What? The SBA wasn't there for me."
No.
You know what I'm saying? And this guy killed somebody.
This is what I'm saying.
I was protecting my female friend from a sexual predator that was sexually harassing her, that grabbed her twice in the club, and on top of that, I didn't even like initiate. I was talking to the security guard, and the security guard refused to do anything. And then when I turned back around, they're fighting, so I pushed the guy back, and they go, "Oh, that was an attempted assault," and I got 3 months for that.
And remember, what we want is we want parity. You treating everybody's got to be treated the same, but they're not. And
Exactly.
listen, nobody's cheering on what happened. Not me, but I'm looking at it. I saw the video, and look, that's wrong. You're not trained to do that. I know others.
Right.
We're gonna, again, the Joe Cop crowd. I hope that it's never your relative or you or your family that has a cooler thrown on them, and they're gonna say, "Oh, he shouldn't have gotten away," and all that stuff. This is New York City. I'm sure that if you're being chased or you think something went wrong, you might scamper. You never know. Everyone's different. Everyone's different, right? You just had an incident in the Bronx, and now Eric Sanders representing the family. This guy was on a moped. He's an Uber Eats driver. He's delivering food. Why is a car with a guy with 2 years on and a guy he's on probation, but he's Tanya Kinsilla's bestie. She pinned him and everything. He was a cadet for her. Why are you chasing this vehicle, this moped? Which, by the way, the guy that was driving the car, who was only 2 years on, got in trouble for doing this just a few months prior. They chased the guy, then they turn their lights off. They think they're slick and they're following, but they never put it over the radio. Well, this person crashed into a bus and perished. They come there, they render aid, they do a whole PAR, and they never turn their body cameras on. They never mention that they chased them, but there's videos everywhere of it. So now
Wow, that's
these
crazy.
guys, well, yeah, and they're two guys are basically rookies. I don't know why you put a guy with 2 years on and a guy with even less than 2 years on in the car together. And of course, one guy he was driving the car, but he had been the passenger in another chase, in another incident. And this is from the chief of department, Michael Hanzi LePetri, who wants people to go and grab mopeds and scooters. You can't do that. It says in the patrol guide, you can't chase these people. They
Right.
literally wrote this. So how do you stop that?
Well,
It's a hard
the
thing to
reason
do,
why
right?
you don't the reason why you don't have rookies with senior people because the senior people are leaving. They don't want to be part of this shit show. Right. You know, and or they're transferring, they're either retiring or they're transferring to a different department, because they don't want to be part of this shit show where the city doesn't back them with good reason because all this stuff is going on, right? And me as a rookie and you as a rookie, come on, Sal, be honest. You as a rookie, me as a rookie, I didn't see a car till like 3 years, 4 years on a job. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
because
saying?
I
Like
barely, yeah.
I wasn't able to drive neither. It was like, shit, kids sit in the passenger seat and learn.
Not
Like
even to get back in our day, the only way I was doing car stops was on foot. I barely got this car.
yeah,
It
yeah.
took a
And then
long time. It
when
took like yeah.
I did that once, and they're like, "Don't ever do that shit again, because you're gonna end up getting dragged down the street and all this other stuff for what? For a summons? Don't ever do that
Or
shit
Dewey.
again."
That's how I was always looking
Right.
for I wanted C summonses or arrests. B moving summonses was never my thing. To all the Joe cops, if you don't know this, yes, I was in citywide traffic task force. I went there in the first 2 years. I was in the DWI unit. We didn't write moving summonses. That was never what I went there for. Then 2020 came in, and then I was stationed in the 4-5. I ended up getting COVID. Yes, I worked in the Bronx, by the way. And then my investigation hit. And that's when they turned the whole place into summons only. No, I couldn't transfer. I was under investigation. So you're stuck writing moving summonses because you have to see your whatever's going to happen. I can't transfer. I can't do anything. So for those that you wrote some. No, I didn't. I had no choice for the final year of my career. And they said, making an arrest, you would still have to go write summonses because the commanding officer is such a great guy. He was such a great little guy. Little guys seem to have a problem with everything lately, even online. Little guys, short too. Guy was bald also. Short, bald guy, Italian guy also was the commanding officer of this place. He had a problem. He wanted you to go out there if you have a DWI, hurry up, and then you still have to write your number, meaning they wanted a quota, which nobody really wanted to talk about. There is a quota over there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's
There's
what,
code everywhere. Yeah.
but this is what I dealt with. So no, I wasn't a summons guy or whatever these people say. And I'm only addressing this because, you're more tailored to a police oriented show, but it doesn't matter because the issues I bring at hand have nothing to do with me. You
Exactly.
guys are just upset that everything's getting exposed, and maybe you were beating on a guy with a shillelagh and a slapjack and a billy club.
Exactly.
Well, you should be in prison. You're just lucky. And if your friends are doing it now and you're upset that now they're going to start looking, whether I live another day or not, there's other people out there. There's cameras everywhere, and they just go
Yep.
viral. You don't need me to do things. They're just going to go viral. So
Exactly.
that time is over. You're living in a past that doesn't want you anymore. It doesn't exist. It's like saying Hulkamania is running wild and living forever. I love Hulk Hogan. He's gone, and he hasn't wrestled. Last time he wrestled was 2006. So that would be crazy to keep screaming Hulkamania running forever. I'm living in the past. So you're living in the past, and you need to evolve. Life is about evolving, and those
Yeah.
days are over. So all we're
Yep.
doing is we're trying to correct course, especially the younger officers now that are on the job, because if they listen to certain other people and all this other craziness, Joe Copland, you're going to end up like those two narcotics guys that are now facing a potential criminal trial when it was all
Yep.
avoidable,
Yep.
starting with the
Yep.
supervision. That's horrendous. And that's where
Yep.
my gripes are. But some of you seem to think that I'm not disgruntled. I live in sunny South Florida. You think we have snow in January? I'm sure you had a lot of it up in New York City. If you don't like you want, look, there was a time and place for you guys. You're being cast aside now because that time you misled a lot of people. It's a new day. It's a new beginning. Social media has been a benefactor and a curse. but it will bring transparency to this. And finally, we might correct the whole course. And if we can save some poor young police officer from A, losing their job, B, getting in trouble, or C, getting indicted, then we've done what we needed to do.
Yeah,
We're here to try
absolutely.
to help me and Steve and others. We're not here to try to,
Yeah,
do anything, but you do have to address the 900-pound elephant in the room, whether you
yeah,
guys like it or not. And that's what we do. You don't like it, you don't have to watch. You could watch Fox
right.
News. I'm sure Hannity, you could watch him all night spewing his nonsense. Don't watch this. But it's not
Yeah,
going to stop anything either, whether we're
yeah,
both here or not. Just saying.
100%,
Just
100%,
saying.
Sal, 100%. Like we're exposing all this because we care.
Yeah,
We
we
love
don't
the
have
job.
to.
You
We
know what I
could
mean?
just
Yeah, exactly. We love the job, but thing is, we know that this kind of stuff is what's poisoning the job, is what's hurting the good officers out there, what's destroying the reputation of police officers, what's affecting how the public view police officers, right? Which also affects also later on when good police officers have to, like, let's say, God forbid, an incident happens and the officer was in the right, but they're still going to be seen as wrong because they're going to compare it to all these other incidents that happened, right? And then he's going to be severely punished and stuff like that. So today is me, but tomorrow is you, and all you guys need to speak up and talk about it and stop them. Like, you guys, if you see something going on, you have to, like, cut it out, please, just stop. Like, even the shame, like the shame of, like, you know, facing your family and friends, like, "Oh, my New York City police officer," like, "Oh, didn't you guys just beat some guy in Brooklyn? Didn't you guys beat so and so? Oh, do you know these guys?" Because you know how it is, like, they think that everybody knows each other and we're all the same. You're dropped into a category, right? You're no longer white, you're no longer black, you're no longer yellow. To the public, you're blue, right? You're all seen as one, and it's an embarrassment. It's a huge embarrassment, and that was one of the things why they didn't want to go after all the chiefs and stuff like that investigated. They didn't want to go after all these higher ups because they said, it's an embarrassment. They want to save face. You know what I'm saying? If they would
Mhm.
have went after all these people, none of this stuff probably would have happened.
and
But it's slowly coming
and
out.
and this the
Adams and his
thing.
people, you know,
This is the thing. We want to help the members of service and the entire enforcement profession. But
right?
also, what we're doing is showing the regular civilian people, which is what we are now today, they deserve better because they're the taxpayer. And if you're
Yeah,
stealing from them and taking advantage of them, you can't do that either. There's a happy
yeah,
medium. We got to find a happy medium balance. And
yeah.
unfortunately, the supervision is just an atrocity out there. The supervision seems to be the number one issue I'm running into, whether it's the soccer mom or her chief of department, Hansi LaPetri, whether it's a chief of internal affairs, that's a place that it's a disaster.
Yeah.
This is where they just like, all right, well, we're gonna catch this investigation, just kill it because it's our friends, and then we're gonna go full throttle on this poor guy that doesn't know anyone and we're going to railroad. That's what they've done. That's what they've been doing. It's these fake illegal subpoenas, administrative subpoenas. They still do it, by the way, and they're about to get sued again, even by myself because they used it on me. Even though I'm a civilian, I'm a reporter, I'm a
Yeah.
journalist. You don't do that. And this is what they're doing. This is internal affairs. This department needs to clean house. Every executive, they all have to go. You need a new
Remember,
blood. New blood.
I'm a civilian now too, but remember, it was like a day or two before I went on your show, right? Like,
Mm, yeah.
I bumped into somebody from IAB. I take my kid in Long Island, right? This guy, I believe he lives in the Bronx somewhere, right? Because he's in Group One. He used to drive, Resnick around and stuff like that. And then I bump into him there. He was pretending like he was waiting for his son or whatever. I look at him, I'm like, "Why is this guy even here?" He turns directly to me, and I look different. I look different from when I was on a job, right? Like, I had this hat on, I had glasses, I was skinny, I had, a rough, like, facial hair and stuff like that, like my Fu Manchu growing, right? I'm jealous about your mustache and your beard, man. I wish I could grow it full, but I can't. Right, so then he turns directly towards me and just starts a conversation. He wants to hug me and stuff. I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm not giving you a hug. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys railroad me, and you want me to give you a hug? Get the fuck out of here." And then he tries to start a conversation up. He tries to start a conversation up and stuff. I don't know if he was trying to give me a hug, try to pat me down, see if I was carrying and stuff like that, because they took my guns away. So maybe he's trying to see if I could grab him for like carrying a firearm unauthorized or something like that. You know what I mean? So I don't carry no more. I don't care about the fucking firearm, right? I'm not like some of these cops that, oh, I gotta have my firearm. Who the fuck cares, right? But whatever the case is, I turn around, I walk away from the guy. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I walk away from the guy. I turn back around. Wait, where's the kid that you're waiting for? Where's your son that you supposedly playing around? He all of a sudden disappeared by himself. I walk around the place and he's gone from the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, bump failed. Okay, mission aborted. Let me get the fuck out of here. But your story with, oh, I'm waiting for my son is playing here or whatever. Or I'm waiting for my son and stuff like that. Get the fuck out of here. First of all, how do you recognize me right away, straight off the back? Because I see other people that I used to work with, right, in the street, and they're like, "Steve?" I see some of my good friends that I haven't seen in a while, and they go, "Steve, is that you?" Like, they had to do a double take, like, "Wait a second, is that you?" You know what I'm saying? These are good friends. But there's this guy I worked with in fucking IB, where all of a sudden Group 1 bumps into me, recognizes me straight off the back with his imaginary son and disappears with no kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Sal, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All because I was about to come on your show.
Out a little earlier than usual because usually I wait a certain time, but for whatever reason, I made that early in the morning, and that's when you went out in the afternoon. So if
Right.
that's the case, it'd be
Straight off the
crazy to
bat.
think that they went. I know he's going on. So what? I mean, and then this guy
What was
just
he gonna
shows
talk
up.
about? Yeah, let me start a conversation with the
What
guy,
the
see what
hell
they're
is
gonna
he?
talk about,
Why is
you
he even
know.
following? You're not even on the job anymore. But Jesus Christ,
Exactly. IMD is not
that's
supposed to investigate civilians.
no, they're not, and they've gotten in
You know what I'm
trouble.
saying?
They got in trouble for nonsense like this in the past when they went after journalists, which they did again with me. So,
Crazy.
I don't know. This woman, like I told you, the soccer mom, this has been the absolute worst the police department has ever been led by. You could add Sewell, Caban, and Donlin and all the clown show that went on underneath them. The riffraff in the last 4 months and while she was police commissioner, it has been an unmitigated disaster. There is more lawsuits under her than probably the last 3 police commissioners combined. There's
Yeah,
lawsuits filed every day about all kinds of crazy stuff while she's been the police commissioner.
yeah. She needs
And
to
the
clean
answer is,
house.
I
She
don't
needs to
care.
clean
That's
house,
not the
man.
answer.
She needs to clean house. She needs to
No,
really, really clean house, man. But
she
I
needs
don't
to
think
get
this able
fired.
to.
The soccer
Oh,
mom needs to be fired. You can have a garbage can there. As long as the garbage can was in one police plaza and worked there for the last 30 years or so and knows the culture, it would do better than her. She not only is incompetent or whatever herself, underneath her, she has let everyone run wild. And the last thing that I had said a week ago, I think people kind of let this go. She has a NYPD foot post 24/7 in front of her brother's home. And I believe her brother spoke a lot of smack about the mayor, but still contributed, I believe, to him somehow. There's a 24/7 foot post in front of that home. Yet, why are taxpayers funding your brother's security when you're worth over $10 billion? What is up with that? See, she's no better than any other police commissioner has been there. She's not there to tackle the problem. She is the problem, and she actually enables the problem. And this is what people keep missing. She's not a cop. She never was. She'll never get it. And a little smoke breaks at 1 p.m. when she leaves and goes underneath the Brooklyn Bridge in between those buildings, smoking like a chimney. She can't handle this anymore. Mayor
mm,
Mamdani, for the love of God, if there's anything you do as a mayor and you want to be remembered for, this is it. Anything else that's political, people are going to go back and forth with your ideas. This woman, I don't know why you kept her there. you should get rid of every Adams appointee, anyone working on the Eric Adams, they get rid of him. That
I
guy
agree
is
with
a
that.
stain on society, and
I
anything he's
agree with that.
ever everything he's done is a mess. Anyone he's presented is even worse. Get rid of that whole stain. The
Right.
Democrat Party, Republic, nobody wants this guy for a reason. I mean, it would be in your best interest to do it because
What do you
it,
think about what do you think about Adam's dual citizenship with what is
yeah, I already Albania. And you know why I said that,
Albania?
right? Because they don't he would have to renounce his American citizenship, but if he was a citizen of Albania, they don't extradite criminals or people that are indicted for what they deem is a political crime. He's been screaming, I'm a political person, all
Uh,
that nonsense. Everybody
uh,
now, the bad thing about President Trump, which is some good things and some really awful things, he's the guy that started the I'm a political prisoner stuff. And
right.
he has a lot, he has a lot of evidence for that, but not everyone else, especially this guy. He he did a lot of messed up things. He got off
Yeah.
because of the freaking casino. That's the only reason he's still walking around today. He has a casino deal in the Bronx. Cost the Trump's got $175 million in that because of Bally's Casino, the property and everything belonged to Trump. So he's going to make money on that casino,
That
and
explains the
he vetoed
pardon.
it.
That
He
explains
vetoed
the
it.
pardon. Yeah.
Yep. That
Crazy.
explains it in a nutshell. What's benefiting Trump? And then, of course, the backroom deals, Artie Idala, see him lately? That's Eric's friend, and he's involved, and Steve Bannon and Epstein with Ghislaine Maxwell. All these people, Boris Epstein, Todd Blanche, Emo Bove, you look back, they're all involved in what happened with that little incident. And the Trump factor was Eric vetoed the casino that the Trumps have a part in that in the Bronx that got approved for a casino license, and now Trump gets 175 million. So he had 175 million reasons to let him off the hook. But there's other things. See, they messed up because one case was going to build as a pressure cooker. It was blowing up on everything else. Now it's
Mhm.
like, all right, what are we going to do? Because you can't indict Derby, what's his name, St. Fort, and all these other people for the migrant shelter nonsense and not think of Eric Adams because he's the mayor,
Right.
right?
Right.
You like his administration has no idea what's going on. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So that's your problem. And anything that involves him, Anthony Miranda, for starters, with the sheriff. Look at today's disaster. He's right in the middle of it. Mr. Mayor, you need to get rid of all the Trump and not the Eric Adams appointees. Trump appointees are bad. Cash Patel's plenty of those guys. But I'm saying in your administration right now, you have Eric Adams lackeys that are just
Yeah.
destroying you. They're bringing
Yeah.
you down and the place they work down. There's more
But maybe
lawsuits
that's what
coming to the
what
sheriff.
Obama wants. Maybe they want NYPD self-destruct so that he could justify his new, community policing.
They come in promising the world, and when they get there, they're going, well, I can't do that because the police are your security force and they're bodyguards too. So you can't do that. You have to make sure that this is your police is like your right arm in any office, your mayor, your governor. So that's something that you need to keep, running smoothly. I'm not saying you bow to everything they tell you, but you're going to have a nice working relationship.
Right.
That woman and him don't have that, and they never will. They're never going to get along. She thinks she can tell everybody what to do, but I love to see her run for office because I doubt she can win because her family's got ties to Epstein and all that. But this is not going to work. It hasn't worked. And the longer you keep the cronies from the past there, it's just going to continue to spiral. You could ignore this and say, I don't care what happens to the police department, but you know what he is going to care about? All these incidents that rack up, all these use of force, potential deaths of people. You know who's paying for that? Mamdani's New York City is going to pay for that. So
Yeah.
you, in the end, have to make the decision. Do I have enough money to keep funding all these things or on all these lawsuits when I could just cut this whole administration, all these idiots out and
Yeah.
bring in my own people? And now I'm going to
Yeah.
lower all these issues. He's
Yeah,
not. You
yeah.
gotta,
That's the only way to fix it. That's the only way to fix it. You don't remove the rot, the whole thing is gonna rot.
the whole thing's gonna rot because they're
Yeah,
still in charge. There's no way around it. You cannot get around these people. Can sell all these people are still there. They destroyed this job all
yeah.
these years. This woman doesn't know a thing about policing, but she does get all the good coverage. It's the best was the 1,000 guns being pulled off the
Well,
street, and then 45 minutes later, somebody's got shot. It's
like,
unbelievable. Kid,
the people that Adams put into place, they're not listening to her. You know, like,
don't
she's
have
not
to.
respected. She's not respected, you know,
No,
because she was never a police officer. They're not respected. Like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about."
but
You know, and then
she also she lets underneath her, Hansi LePetri and Kinsella are doing all kinds of things, and nobody's tapping them on the shoulder and
yeah,
saying, "What are you doing? I'm the boss." That's not
exactly.
happening. They don't even tell her anymore. They're hiding so many things, and it's like, I don't know. You're either incompetent or complicit. Either
Yeah.
way, you got to go. That's
And I bet you that rubber stamp is coming back. That rubber stamp is back. The
oh yeah,
PC's rubber
probably
stamp
yeah.
that Dollar was talking about, that rubber stamp is back,
Where
you
there's
know?
other allegations of transfers. So there's transfers that were on paper, and then the first deputy commissioner changed that. She just put people out that they're not on that piece of paper. So the actual transfer does not
Um,
second what's on paper that went on a finance mess. So this is other things that I've been, getting a hold of lately. It is
uh,
bad. And while she thinks that only one person spoke to me, no, 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 no. I get so many tips from everywhere. It's so many, it's overwhelming. It really is. And there's more. I'm sitting on things like it's so much going on every day that you're like, what can I do? And these are people that are sick of your garbage and the garbage going on in the police department, Miss Soccer Mom.
right?
You should just do the right thing and just step down. Don't get humiliated because they're going to get rid of you real soon. That's all I'm
Yeah,
going to say. There's the other
yeah,
things that I know about. Your days are numbered. This has been a disaster, unmitigated disaster underneath you. Everything going on, you have no answers for. And you think that ABC and NBC and CBS and Fox the great police group, the great Jessica Tish. You're a fraud. Everything you're doing is you're fraudulent with your numbers. Everything. It's reported
crime is
crime is
down.
down. Yeah,
Yeah,
crime is
crime is
down
down.
because crime reported is down because you
Yeah,
manipulate numbers, or when they try to
yeah,
report something, you browbeat them so they don't report it,
yeah.
right?
Shit can stuff,
Everything
yeah,
is a lie. Everything.
yeah. Babies are getting shot,
Misclassifications.
you know, like, you have, like, freaking bonfires in the street, like rings of fire with
Oh,
cars
yeah.
and stuff like that, at drag racing. You got,
Drag racing. You have no
9-year-old
plan.
and babies
What's
and
the
people.
plan? Let's hear the idea of how they're going to get rid of those cars.
Right. Or
How do
even
you
like
stop them?
four people carjacked somebody in Brooklyn, East New York, and then ran over a 76-year-old. You know,
Yep.
like like,
And
crime is obviously not down.
you know what's great? It's the worst part of that story is they carjacked the woman and they ran over a 76-year-old and another woman. They didn't want to go to the hospital. But you know where that happened? In the
What?
Mill Basin parking lot of Lowe's. That's where that happened. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know that. That happened on her property. So it's just the absolute. There was that incident at the hospital, and that was blown out of proportion. That was a hospital that the soccer mom's family owns. So that was another thing that every incident, if you chalk it up, you just got to say, this woman they have to go. I'm sorry. There is no other. I wish that she knew what she was doing and I didn't have to be so harsh. But the longer you keep her there, the worse this has become. It's gotten to the
Yeah.
point where really people are saying, bring back the corruption in Con Sofrito with Ketty Caban and not this woman. It's
Oh
gotten to
my
that point.
god.
People rather imagine you'd rather deal with a mob associate guy with his brothers and all that other crap they was doing than deal with this woman that there's everything from a frat house to people getting killed to people getting beat up nonstop. Every other day there's something else going on. Then there's a terrorist attack and you don't
Yeah,
promote anyone. You promote the
yeah,
guy who He kicked the freaking. He didn't even know what happened.
The
That's the guy
follow-up
you
guy.
promoted, and you promoted 2 guys from the bomb squad that should have been promoted 5 or 10 years ago. They should be first graders by now. They were in ESU. You completely ignored them and only said, "Oh, wait a minute, I got to do something." And
Yeah.
everyone else has been ignored. And you're using all these different things. Mind you, we have a first grader in the IEB chief's office because we know what's going on there, right? And you know that person. And you've promoted, I don't know, Kaz Dodry got promoted underneath you.
Several
There's
times.
several
Several
times.
times.
You got, you have, I lost count. I had the list somewhere. All the people that got promoted underneath you that have done nothing. They're either
Yeah.
zeros or they're brown nosers or worse. I don't know. Maybe they go to hotel rooms with people. You promote them. Some of the time she doesn't even know because they make the list and don't tell her. She just signs it or whatever. So
Well,
here
maybe
it
she doesn't
is.
even sign it. They probably
She
just
doesn't
rubber
even.
stamp it.
Nope. It's all the Petri, the handsy. But you have a set of cops that if you promoted, and I know their names by heart now. Officer Polgarin, Officer Cardenas, who's still line of duty, Detective Rivera, and Officer De Jesus. They stopped 2 animals that were trying to get away. They threw this, and luckily it didn't detonate, right? You have 2 detectives that handle the machete-wielding maniac that already tried to chop up 3 people, while all the
Mhm.
patrons, I can't even show the video because it's brutal. It shows what happens, but they're in the subway cart, scared out of their mind. These guys giving commands, they're doing everything their training tells them to do, and then they have to, when the guy finally makes his move, he's going to make a move with the machete, you have to do what you have to do. And they save the day. Then you have a mounted cop that it's a throwback to the old days with the horse stops a parole violator that's been out. I
Right.
mean, talk about someone who should
I
be in
saw that
prison.
video. Yeah.
These are the guys, if you promote these people, you would bring back some morale and hope in the rank
Right,
and
because 'cause
file.
you're
Instead,
encouraging good actions, like
instead, you're worried about how I'm going to destroy things, smoke breaks, and
yeah.
kill all the stories and have ABC write another beautiful piece about me.
Yeah, that's
Or let
the
me
other
go to
problem.
WABC Radio with John Catsimatidis, one of the worst human beings in the city. Worst. One of the worst. That guy gives money to everybody. You want to kill someone? Here you go. That's the kind of money he would give you. He likes the
Yeah,
crime because then he could fund the other side as well. He gives money to anyone. Look at
yeah.
all the people he's financed as far as politics. He doesn't like Bill de Blasio, has him on a show. He gave him money. Andrew Cuomo, who's now on his network. Who else he had? Eric Adams. He used to be friends with Curtis Lee, but then he double crossed him.
And he fired
He
him, right?
he
Oh, no, no,
complains about
Curtis quit the show. Yeah,
he Kathy Hochul, but he's a Republican. But wait, how's a Republican funding all Democrats? What's going on there? He cried about Alvin Bragg. Never the Republican candidate for Manhattan DA. This guy, he doesn't even know who she is. He completely ignored her. He's funding all this stuff. He doesn't care. And this is the kind of guy that the soccer mom runs to, WABC Radio. We're the pro cop radio show. Hey, that cop beat him up in handcuffs. Wait, he shot him on air. He shot him and said, back the blue, and blew his brains out. We back him too. That's the kind of people you have over there. Because in the globalist agenda, right, when you're talking about rich people, what do you need? You need the people to be dumbed down and accept that if a cop comes over and hands you your ass or worse, you're going to just go along with it because they don't
right,
want the path of least resistance is their way forward. Their army
right,
will be the police. They already tested this out about 6 years ago, and you were all willing to comply and wear masks, and they were violating. There was no law to do that kind of stuff. You went along
right,
with it anyway. So they know if they really want to push, they're going to need you to comply. So if you're okay with the beatings, the no one's following their training, hitting guys in handcuffs, turn around, I don't even have the right to arrest you. Let me just smack you 7 times in the face. Let me tase you on top of it. If you're okay with this behavior, don't cry when they come knocking on your door. Because
yeah,
that kind of guy, these rich guy, this guy's we got a lot more money than that guy. They're
yeah,
watching this, and it's like a test run to see how much I could pull on the community and the public, and if they go along with it, this is gonna be a lot easier than we thought.
Yeah, and they've done it in California, they've done it in Seattle, they
Yep.
did it in Chicago, and they're doing it in New York, all the major cities. Like, Mondami definitely needs to, I hope, not a lot of, faith there, but I hope Mondami, cleans house and starts putting in the right people. If he's true about what he's saying. Like, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, he's got till June, until at least June, the last day of June. Give him the 6
yeah,
months he needs. He's 6 months. That's the limit. After that, all bets are off, and anything you don't like, you just start saying this and that, and who this guy's in charge. What have they done?
yeah,
You got 6 months. He's got to put a whole new administration in. But at the same time,
yeah,
the problems I see more than anything else right now are the leftovers. I thought he'd be gone by now. I thought this woman was going to go, but I don't know why.
no.
Appeasing people doesn't work, folks. So if you're,
Well, also her family and herself, they donate to his campaign, right? Like,
yep,
over
her
$1,000,000.
family,
So
that's what I was told. But he is appeasing to whatever voting block, whoever it is that's you have to keep her. Well, it might be Kathy Hochul, because remember they're running the other scam in transit where they flood it with all these extra cops, meaning they're all in overtime and the precinct doesn't have anyone, just so
right,
she could say, "I lowered the crime. I'm the law and order candidate." You're gonna win anyway. Bruce Blakeman the other day in a move I can't believe went on TV. I'm going to pardon Eric Duran. That's
yeah, that's
great because
crazy.
now you just got a ton of voters mobilized. They can run that over and over again in New York City. You will never beat New York City. New York City carries the state. There's like they come out and vote, and you get these millions, and then no one could recover from New York City. So he's going to get that 5 boroughs, 3 out of the 4, 4 out of the 5 are completely Democrat. The other one's slowly turning Staten Island. So that whole voting block is going to crush your Long Island block. And you're going to get crushed because then upstate you have other issues. She will go on to beat you by a lot more than she beat Zeldin because you jumped in front of the train to say, I'm going to, and I think it's more of a play in fundraising than anything else because that's a killer. You will not win saying you're going to. Trump had the right to do it because January 6th, you can't convict a guy because he's standing on the lawn. And they did that.
Right.
They were making everything political. All these people are criminals. They're insurrectionists. Blah, blah. A lot of those people, some of the people were only in jail for years. You're like, what are you doing? You have a trespass at best. You don't have, what is it called? Insurrection? What are you, out of your mind? So it was right to say if I win, I would pardon these people because every family wanted closure, right? And wanted this to be over. Eric Duran's on an appeal. That could be overturned and it did occur that somebody died. And here you are, I'm going to pardon. So you slapping the victims and then everyone, and that was overwhelming people that don't agree with that. It's not
Yeah,
this small Joe cop crowd. It's like the Chihuahua who barks, yet it's a room full of Mastiffs. The Mastiffs
yeah,
will not bark, but the Chihuahua will. That's what you just done. You just listen to the Chihuahua in a room full of Mastiffs. And when the lights turn down, you got a problem. So
yeah,
he just endorsed his own destruction by doing that. Politically, I would have steered away from it. I'm going to look at it. That's the way you say it. I'm going to look at it. I don't agree with things. I'm going to look at it. Keep it at
right,
that. Do not commit yourself. I'm going to pardon a guy. Good luck. I think you get crushed he lost by 6. You're going to probably lose by over 10. I say you're going to there's a large swath of people that are furious that someone who thinks going to be governor is going to pardon someone when they're on appeal. And by the way,
yeah,
he's out on appeal. And I don't agree with Hawk Newsom on like 90-something% of his thing. But he made the point that somehow he has Artie Idalin now representing him. And he knows all these people. I mean, that's Eric Adams, crony. And all of a sudden they got an appeal where he's out on bail. Not even Roger Stone could do that when he was appealing his conviction in a federal trial. They wanted him in jail pending appeal. It's
right.
very hard to do that. He got
Right.
it, and he got it in a record time. It doesn't look good. It smells of politics. And
Yeah.
listen, that guy also has a large voting block. So
Yeah.
those people that follow him and Hawk Newsom,
Well, that's why I
look,
think they're gonna drag the appeal out. They're gonna drag it out. He's gonna probably be out like 3 years or something like that, maybe over
but the
3
one up.
years on
If
appeal,
the
you
longer
know?
if they okay, if they he's gonna be they made him a political pawn in this Bruce Blakeman election thing, which is
Right.
already an issue. But the way they went about it he came out, I'm gonna pardon him. That video plays well in the Joe Cop, pro cop, Republican crowd because they're all for back in the blue. I understand that, but I always want to hold a distance because what cop are we? Who are we talking about? You talking about some of the stuff we saw over the last couple of weeks? You can't be backing that, right? But they don't even want to accept that. They go, wait, you're an anti-cop guy. No, I'm a pro-human being guy, and I don't know what's wrong with you. You're gonna rush to your own demise. So by saying that, a large swath of voters that probably may have not even voted are gonna say that mother effer is trying to pardon this guy. So guess what? I'm gonna vote. I'm never voted. I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna vote against him.
Yeah. No, I think you're
Just
right. You're
because
right on money for that. Yeah.
you just handed
There's gonna be
Kathy
there's a
Hochul.
lot of pissed off people about that,
Yeah,
and they're just gonna vote Kathy Hochul just because of that.
they don't want, and there's gonna be a large swath of them because they're saying that you don't care about victims. You only care
Yeah.
about whatever your little
Yeah.
circle is there in Long Island.
Yeah.
New York City has the largest voting block. I can't believe he said that. I said, why would he do that? I was hoping that this guy had a chance, as you know, because I still am a Republican, but some of these guys like him are ridiculous. You, who are you playing to? You're not running for governor of Tennessee. You're
Yeah.
running for governor of
Well,
New York.
I would never have said that. I would have probably moved towards, no taxes or something like that, or, you know
And he got and he has if he goes towards that road, he has a lot to go on. But now you just handed the silver shiny bullet to Kathy Hochul
Yeah.
because they're going to play that over and over again. He wants to pardon somebody. They'll use the big words, the
Yeah.
killer, the what do they call him, the cooler killer. They'll use it.
Yeah.
He decided
Yeah.
to make that political and now that's why Newsom and all these other guys jumped on it. And because he got out of jail pending appeal on a record time, like that's unheard of. Some people don't get their appeals heard for months. So
Yeah. My appeal did I appealed my case, and, it's still it's still at the lawyer. The lawyers are still waiting for, like, the material and stuff, you know what I mean, to start the case, like, it's crazy. Like, I haven't even talked to the lawyer that's representing me yet. That was
so
appointed, the appellate defenders. I haven't even talked to the lawyer yet.
so your appeal, you're not even heard yet. You already had to go and stay in prison. This guy's
Yeah.
out right now.
Yeah, it's a slap in the face, man. It's a slap in the
Yes.
face.
So just
Yeah.
on that alone, Bruce Blakeman's chances went from slim to non-existent because
Yeah.
people are seeing that you're manipulating the system. Look, Democrats are known, and they're like not pro police and all this. That's it. They're not, but they're very smart. And then I don't know why this guy decided to make this really stupid move because it plays well to the dwindling MAGA crowd, the pro cop crowd, the Joe Cop crowd. But
Yeah.
you are running for governor of all, not these people. And the other
Right.
half, which is more than you have because it is a supermajority Democrat state, why bother running other than it's a grift? I don't know. I already thought his chances were slim to none after what I saw in the mayoral election. They
Maybe
just
you're
went from
right,
slim
though.
to non-existent, saying you're going to
No.
pardon someone that there's clearly the communities and the population in New York is not happy about this. Just steer away from it. Don't
Well,
even
maybe he doesn't have any intention of winning because maybe you're right, it's all about the funding. Because now state elections have 12 to 1, matching funds.
Yep. Well, that's what I think it is because he's not,
Yeah.
you cannot win. You already
Yeah.
were facing uphill battle, but now, man, and you make somebody's case the center of like, oh, I'm going to pardon this guy. You,
Yeah, it's crazy.
nobody asked him
Right.
that too. He just said it on his own. I'm like, wow. So that was a
Yeah.
very interesting with that. I mean, so politics
Yeah.
plays a large
And
part
then
in
on
things.
top of that, like, okay, you pardon him, but what about all the other people? You know, like, are you gonna right the
Oh,
wrong
there's so many.
well, so many people, you know, like, why are you picking
Yeah.
versus one person that do it cooler that like, when I saw that, I was like, "What the fuck was that?" Like, I wouldn't like, if one of my cops do a cooler on somebody, I would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know, like, "Why'd you do that?" You're not trained to pick up it's not first of all, it's not even your property, like, you take somebody else's property to dole at somebody else for, a minor offense, right? It's not like this kid is wanted for something major, right? You could catch him later,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just insane to
he
me. The way he
yeah.
did it, it was just insane, like, people getting in trouble for clotheslining people on scooters. You're throwing a cooler at somebody, like,
But he
made
threw
no
it like I
sense to me.
said, if you watch it, he threw the cooler as the guy was passing him by.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
not like he threw it
You coulda grabbed the
before.
guy. You coulda grabbed the guy. You could done something else.
You
You know
could
what
have
I'm
just
saying?
followed the guy. For me, the NYPD has spent millions on cameras and drones and surveillance. And unless you're using it, that's
Drones,
being
the
used.
casualty drones.
Yeah. This is now being, to me now, I guess this is being used to basically survey the public because if the cops
Yeah,
aren't using it, what are you all using it for? So
right,
use it to your advantage. Learn from that mistake. Like I said, does the guy belong to go to prison? I don't know. He didn't he didn't wake up and say, I'm gonna do this. But at the same time, it is your fault that you used. I mean, I don't know what kind of intellect he had to do that, but now it's like, all right, you got convicted, right? You're a felon, all this stuff. And then they make this political, like, no, he should have his whole thing overturned. So what you're saying is he's not wrong for have done that. That's what you're really trying to say. That's why this
right,
Bruce Blakeman thing, you're saying that that's not wrong, that you approve of that.
right.
So you're okay with cops, whatever they do, whatever that road leads, you have no problem with it. I bet you'd be different if it was Bruce Blakeman's friend or family that got hit in the head with a cooler and perished. See, people don't think other than the little world they live in, that little bubble. And that's not how I am, and that's not how my show is either. You have to be, let's say, look at the totality of circumstances, and you need to be fair to all parties involved. If you begin to be one way or the other, that's bias, and it's over. It's over before we start. And I thought that's what he was going to do. And that an incident, it's very unfortunate. People say, "What would you do?" I wouldn't be on the juries. I'm a former cop. I can't get on the juries. By the way, we tried this a couple years ago. I got denied. By the way, I got jury duty, and they sent me home. Once they found out I was a cop, they said, "Yeah, no, it's not happening. You're a former cop. Get out of here." So you can't be on a jury. But I would never be able to tell you what I would do. But I know that the possibility of what happened was high when I saw it. It was already in the 90%. But he chose a bench trial, not a jury trial. And jury trials, 12 people, okay, one guy, one juror could say, I'm very sympathetic to this, and it's a mistrial. You also can appeal those, and you might get the whole thing reversed. But a bench trial is like virtually like 0.9% that conviction is going to stick no matter what you do. And that was on
Yeah,
the advice of
but
the SBA.
but the jury trial though, in because I went with a jury trial, and it was in Manhattan, which was probably my mistake, right? But then the judge was also friends with the DA anyway. But one of the cases, like, he would have got convicted probably of murder if he went with the jury trial in the Bronx, you know? I think that the bench trial was probably a good decision, maybe get a better judge. The judge was already not a good judge, so they should have weighed that when deciding with that stuff. But to be honest with you, with him getting sentenced, it was a little bit sense of relief that he got time, right? Because you could send me to jail for bullshit, right? For acting in concert with somebody else when you didn't even arrest the people that were I was acting in concert with, right? and you could send me to jail for that. And if he didn't get jail time, I would have went off the rocker. I would have been like, "What the f? Like this guy killed somebody. It may not have been intentional, but you know what I'm saying? Like, why is he getting off?" But even with him getting off on bail and out and not in jail, because they didn't give me a choice. They just sent me straight into jail. There was no bailing out. There was no appealing. They were like, if you appeal, you'll probably be out by the time your appeal even heard, stuff like that. Like,
This is
it's crazy. It's just crazy, man.
that's what people are upset about. So
Yeah,
you'll see it play out. Like I said, I hope I wish him well, and
yeah,
but again, politically, this Republican's got no shot after what he said, and I don't like politicizing what the guy. You just politicize the whole thing, but maybe that was their whole goal, you know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
and then the SBA was the one that led to the bench trial when they could have just had a jury trial. And again, you could overturn an appeal jury trial. It's a lot different than a bench trial conviction.
Right.
It's just
Because the judge
very hard
always
to do.
supposedly knows the law and all this other stuff, and it's very,
Yeah, they
it's
know the law, right? They led this guy straight down the road of destruction. It's
yeah,
really sad. But again, he made a mistake, and although I know he didn't wake up and say he's going to do that, so that's what I'm saying. 3 to 9. I don't know. That might be a little harsh, but the conviction, yes. And then you got to figure out what's a good sentence. I don't know if there is
yeah.
one at all. But as far as being guilty, uh, you know, it's not in your training, it's not in your protocol, so you could see it coming because
Right.
any reasonable person is going to say, "Look at the evidence," right? And like again, they didn't go for perjury when they could have, because he
Well,
said,
another kid, he got convicted of the same crime. He got 9 months for it.
so if 9 months is like the worst thing, then you'd be in that range, 6 to 9 months. Remember, he
Remember,
didn't go out.
you're only doing it,
He
yeah, but
didn't.
you have to also remember, like, the actual time that you're doing. Like, out of 9 months, you're probably only doing 6 months.
Yeah, he's not. Listen, he didn't. He didn't wake up and say, "I'm going to murder this guy." That's different.
Right,
He didn't say, That's not his intention. His intention
right,
was something that didn't end up happening. So, but he's wrong. I understand that, and that's why he's convicted. But then, what's a reasonable sentence? That's the
right.
only thing here, because that's what the jury. I'm sorry, the judge decided. Thanks to the SBA, that once again, leadership seems to just keep leading you down to the road of doom. When you
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
your inner self, you're better off than listening to these clowns. They don't know
yeah,
what they're doing. They
yeah,
definitely used them as a political pawn, though. And now,
yeah,
yeah, now I don't know. Is the SBA getting money from Bruce? I don't know. I don't know what's going on
yeah.
there. It's just,
Crazy.
I feel sorry
They're
for
doing a
everyone involved.
fundraiser for him, right? So they could pay for the lawyers for the appeal, which probably won't even happen. Like, probably won't even work.
No,
At the end of the day, all that money's gonna go to the lawyer, and then he's gonna go to jail, serve his sentence.
that's
You know?
essentially what ends up happening. But it's a grift on top of it. It's so sad. And
Yeah,
people too. Oh, he has a family. So did the guy he threw a cooler at. I know you're thinking he's some savage drug dealer. Blah 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 blah. These are human beings too, and you don't know his
yeah,
story and how he ended up and what happened with him. But
right,
you don't care. He's an animal in your eyes, and that's why people don't respect you and give you the verdicts that you just got.
right,
Because sometimes
absolutely.
there's an old saying: if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. But
Yeah,
Joe Cop can't help himself. And unfortunately, it's that minority that people hang their hat on, and then everyone
yeah,
suffers.
yeah.
And
Because
that's
all the
just the
good cops
problem.
stay silent. All the good cops stay silent. They try to keep their head low. They don't want to get
Yep.
involved because they know what happens when they get
Yep.
involved and they speak up against that. They end up like you, and they end up like me.
Mhm.
You know, that's what happens.
That's
But
that's
hopefully change will happen. I believe that karma what goes around comes around. I believe in also like a balance in the universe. Like things will come to light, things will come out, and I think things will change.
yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully
And I
we'll
I
see what
think
happens.
I think we hit a lot of topics, a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
I say in closing, look, you watch my show. I try to bring the news and I try to bring evidence and facts, and I'm trying to change things for the
Yeah.
better. I
Real
don't
quick
have
though,
emotions.
real quick, Sal, where can people find you?
So if you want to follow me on X at the Sal Greco, same on Instagram. If you want to follow also what I do with the show and everything there, TikTok, I'm at the Sal Greco Show. Rumble at the Sal Greco Show. That's the channel on Rumble. And of course on YouTube at the Sal Greco Show. The
Nice.
show airs Mondays and Thursdays, 11:05 a.m. It's on YouTube, Rumble on the at the Sal Greco Show, and X on at the Sal Greco. My website, salgreco.com. You could go there, hit the support button, whatever you could send. A generous donation goes a long way. Of course, I have my producer and co-host Jack trying to also expand things. You could buy shirts. You could read up on the latest blogs, the latest shows. You could do everything there, and there'll be more to come. And it's expanding. The website's growing as we speak. So
And I can attest, so Sal has a lot of information very early before even it gets to the news outlets and stuff, and very accurate also. You know,
yeah,
I get a lot of my information from Sal. You know, watching his shows, watching his Twitter feed, and just talking to him and stuff like that. Very, very, very high information. Educate yourself as to what you're doing, what's going on. Do your own research, of course, but you will find that the information is very accurate. You know,
yeah,
but
yeah, thank you for that. And I pride myself on I try to bring you whatever's factual with evidence in a timely manner. And of course, I'm trying to jump everyone else so that you know what, because they can spin things. Remember, legacy media. And I'm going to hit
yeah,
with everything in one shot. And if you are out there and you're going to do your joke cop nonsense ad hominem attacks, you're going to you're going to end up on the block party. And this is why you think you're the hero, everyone hates you. I could give you an
yeah,
example. The former chief of department, who's a disgrace, who's, I don't know where he is tonight, drinking, whatever he's doing. That's the Joe Cop would look like him. 300 pounds, drinking all day and night, rallying online, saying crazy things. That guy is what a Joe Cop and a hairbag combined, what it looks like. And we don't have time for you. There's plenty of other shows and other outlets you could watch or look at and go rah rah. I ask, you going to join in discussion? It's one thing to attack the discussion and what's going on, but don't with the ad hominem attacks, because that's when you don't have an argument. You
right,
did this in your career. That has nothing to do with a guy getting struck in the face when he's being handcuffed. Because
yeah,
I don't know what you've done in your career. You probably want to hide something. No one comes out of woodwork unless they did something and are scared that now it's going to come towards their, in their
yeah,
vicinity. So
yeah,
just keep your goddamn mouth shut. And if you're doing something wrong and you end up on the radar, well, the easiest thing to do in life would be the right thing. So if you
yeah,
stay to yourself, true to yourself, and you stay right, you'll be fine. If you run the other way, look out, because if it's not me, someone else is going to catch you. The camera, whatever it is going to get you. So just be on your best P's and Q's, just like me and Steve had to do it. We did it. Nothing. The reason and I never make things about me. You did nothing in the street. There's nothing on you that says you ever did anything wrong as far as policing in the street. Look at
right,
my record. There's nothing there. You didn't do anything. You don't know what I did. Trust me, there's plenty. There's plenty of
right,
stuff that I've done. And what I was number one at. I can't say the same for you guys. I'm not monitoring people. But to go that route is real stupid. And to some of the people you're listening to, there's a lot to be said about what they were or weren't doing in their career. But I don't air dirty laundry like that and could care less about what others say. But you need to look at who or what you're judging things on, because some of that stuff is crazy. But again,
right.
if you're gonna do that ad hominem stuff, don't bother. Don't come my way. I'm not interested. You'll be joining the block party. We're here to have intellectual discussions that will bridge the gap between the community of policing and civilians and community. That's the
Yep.
problem. And of course, the leadership. Leadership needs to be overturned. And then we'll see
Yep.
what the next people will do. So
Yep.
that's the goal, folks. We're not here
Yep.
trying to get rich and become billionaires or grift or whatever nonsense you're hearing out there. Look at what I'm doing. You know, I live in the same place. I'm still fighting the lawsuits. There's nobody,
Yep.
I'm not getting paid by Fox News. I don't know what other people are getting paid, but so I'm just trying to answer general questions that have been floating around without answering who they are, just any concerns people have. I'm just
Yeah.
being as real and raw as I could be.
Yeah, we're bringing the truth to light, man. Very well said, pal. But thank you for coming on the show. You know, thank you for doing what you do on social media and, putting the information out there for people to see. And I really appreciate it, man. Thank you, Sal. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve, and I'm sure we'll be doing this in the future. And good luck with the
Absolutely,
show. And
man. Absolutely. Whenever you want.
yeah, and
You know?
hopefully your show keeps growing and your platform keeps growing, and people should check you out because you do your own investigating and your own stuff. So
Yeah.
keep at it, Steve, and God bless
Thank you.
everyone. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their week and weekend. And let's just hope and pray for the best, even
Yes.
to
Let's hope
the
and
people
pray.
that hate us. Because real
Yes. Absolutely.
Christians and Catholics, we pray for those even that don't like us. We don't just put up proverbs and then act like the devil online and stuff. Just saying. So
Right.
we do pray for everyone, even the haters. We want change for the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Peace and blessings. This is System Unfiltered.